I literally have nothing else to do right now, and yet somehow I am still falling behind an editing and posting schedule that I had arbitrarily set. That is how my level of productivity is going. That is how my week is going. That's how quarantine is going. Hi, guys. Hopefully, yours is going better than mine. So, welcome back. I know it's really dark. Sorry. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I was trying to edit this video for Easter because I wanted to share with you a recipe that I had tried out kind of off the whim for some quarantine-friendly hot cross buns that I made for Easter. And I was like, well, I kind of want to dabble in the history of Easter, kind of tie back to Easter's lesser-known pagan roots, kind of go into a little bit of history about Ostara, Istra, to tie into the spring equinox and planting and how the hare moon, the pink moon of April all tied into this, and gardening and sharing all this stuff that I've done over the last couple of weeks, along with some updates and some check-ins. And long story short, I'm sitting here and I'm hating all of it. All of it. Every last bit of it. I hate it. So here we are at almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I am still going to share with you my hot cross bun recipe. It's based off of a recipe that I'll link down below. But I've never made hot cross buns before. So without really having a starting point, I think I did pretty darn good. They're vegan friendly. There is no dairy in them. So I'm gonna insert a little hot cross bun history here. Hot cross buns were traditionally made because they contained dairy, which would break Lent. So they were traditionally called Good Friday buns. These buns will not break your Good Friday from the traditional sense of containing dairy, but they do contain alcohol. I soaked in my hot cross buns that I made. I used dried cranberries instead of the traditional raisins because I do not have raisins, and I soaked them in blackberry brandy. It turned out delicious. It turned out fantastic. They're slightly sticky, but not. They're filling, but they're not dense. They're sweet, but not too sweet. They are delicious. That's why I wanted to make this video. I wanted to share this with you because not only are they good for Easter, but as a general celebration bread, they are delicious. For Ostara, they're delicious. For Easter, they're great hot cross buns. Hot cross buns are a spiced bun, so there's cinnamon, there's nutmeg, things that ring very Yuletide type vibes. So this is a recipe that you can definitely make for any festivity that you are partaking in. The point of this video, aside from hot cross buns, is to be a check-in. A check-in for you, a check-in for me, to see how everyone's doing on this quarantine. Before I dive straight into the delectable deliciousness that was created in my kitchen, how you doing? I'm doing all right. Personally, for me, I have been still working, not anymore. Yesterday was actually my first day on furlough, the place that I work at. We had a ramp down that is now a 3-week shutdown, so that'll be fun. Expect some pretty awesome videos if I can sit down and finish them and not be here at 1 o'clock in the morning hating everything and redoing it all. Yeah, if I can get past that, then we'll be good. And I scripted everything out, and I did a storyboard, and all these things that I'm in my mind, these will help me make videos. No, Andy, they don't. Part of the inspiration behind these bread buns was because obviously I'm trying to avoid going to the grocery store. I hope you all are taking social distancing seriously. Yeah, even before everything kind of shut down, everything went on lockdown. I'll write more about this. I have a blog post that I've been waiting to post until I finish another video to go along with it. But I have been fairly housebound for about the last, almost actually to this day. Today's Monday. So I've literally been 4 weeks to this day housebound. Last week, week 3, I was able to move around like a normal human. For the most part, the recovery process is good to where I can do things normally again for the most part. So now that I'm able to like put on tennis shoes and go for a run or go for a hike or go out and explore things, everything's locked down, everything's off limits, everything's shut down. So my snowboarding pass is like poof, gone. Like all these other things that 4 weeks ago I was like, oh, I'm gonna go do this. Like, surprise, no, you're not. The quarantine aspect of it in terms of like being stuck in the house now for literally 4 weeks is the part that's kind of getting to me. But on a positive, I have cooked more, I have baked more, I have been so creative. I've really gotten solid in my yoga practice too, because I haven't been able to physically work out. So I've done a lot of mental and spiritual practice, and then as I healed, I started to incorporate the physical again, and it's good. So yeah, with that, I'm gonna quit rambling on, quit babbling. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope you all are doing well. Everything's good on this side. And I've got plenty of updates to share with you. I'm just trying to get them organized in like nice, neat, concise videos. That way it's not just me rambling to a random computer screen, cell phone at this point at 1 o'clock in the morning while I drink tea and should be going to bed, but I'm not. Happy belated Easter. Happy belated Ostara. Much love and warm wishes from my kitchen, my home, to yours. This recipe is based off a recipe originally posted by Delightful Adventures. Again, that's linked down below, as well as all of the measurements and the ingredients for what I used in this recipe. First and foremost, I find it easiest to prepare all of my rinds and spices and citrus fruits before I start mixing anything together. So to start with, I am taking the zest of 3 citrus fruits. Here I have a blood orange, which has a very unique orange and red toned skin. I have just your standard navel orange, and I also have 1 lemon. So I'm just preparing those here to mix into the dough in a little bit. Next, I have a half a cup of dried cranberries that I'm adding to a bowl to soak in approximately 1/4 cup of blackberry brandy. Now you can warm the brandy up just a little bit to help the cranberries soak the moisture up a little bit quicker. I popped mine into the microwave for about 30 seconds. The longer you let it set, the more brandy it will soak up, but it's mainly just the flavor it's soaking up. All of the alcohol will evaporate when you bake it. Next, in a large mixing bowl, you're going to combine 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, this is the equivalent of 1 package of yeast, with 1 teaspoon of sugar, and to that you're going to add a half a cup of warm water. You want the water to be warm to the touch, but not too hot, because you want it to activate the yeast. You don't want to kill the yeast with boiling water. To that, you're going to add 3/4 of a cup of as close to room temperature or lukewarm temperature non-dairy milk. I have vanilla sweetened soy milk, which worked out perfectly fine, but just use what you have. You're going to add 1/4 cup of sugar, and then you're going to add 1/3 of a cup of oil. Next, you're going to add in your citrus and your spices. So here I have 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and 1 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Then you're going to add in your citrus zest. And then you're going to add in 1 cup of flour. Here I have unbleached all-purpose flour. You can use wheat flour, you can use whichever flour that you have in your kitchen. Now from here, I transferred my dough onto my stand mixer. But of course, if you don't have one of these, you can always knead this by hand. From here, I added 2 more cups of my all-purpose flour, and then I let the stand mixer do the work. Once the dough is fully kneaded and starts to pull away clean from the sides, usually this takes like 4 to 5 minutes on a medium to medium high speed, you'll want to prepare your cranberries to be added in. Now be careful and don't do what I do. I left the mixer a little fast when I went to add my first spoonful of cranberries, and it ended up launching them onto the floor. So slow your mixer down. You can turn it off if you'd like to, but I left mine on speed 2, and then spoonful by spoonful, try and drain out as much liquid as possible, but add your cranberries into the dough. Now, naturally, the additional liquid from the brandy is going to make your dough a little wet. So here I'm adding another 1/4 cup of flour. You can add a 1/4 cup at a time and just knead your dough back to a non-sticky consistency. When the dough pulls clean away from the side of the mixing bowl, the dough is ready to rest. I used the same bowl. Just remove the dough, add a little bit of oil, and cover the dough in a really thin layer to protect it from drying out. Cover the bowl and set it someplace warm for the dough to rest for about an hour. While the dough is rising, line an 11 by 13 inch dish with parchment paper. I'm using one with a lid, so that way after I'm done baking them, I can seal them and store them for later. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Once your dough has doubled in height, you can then punch it down and knead it again. And then once it's ready to go, you will then begin to break the dough off into 12 even circular pieces. A tucking method works well for folding and creating layers within the bread. One really good thing about this recipe is that it's okay if you don't make them even at first. You can always break off dough from the bigger rolls and stick them and knead them again into the smaller rolls. Once you have 12 even buns, I like placing them on top of the oven while it continues to preheat for the buns to have their second rise. As the buns are rising, we can make our sweet wash. We're mixing 2 tablespoons of our non-dairy milk with 1 tablespoon of pure maple syrup. If you have a pastry brush, it's really convenient to just dip and to paint over the top of the rolls. But since I don't, I'm just pouring a very light amount over the rolls and then gently rubbing it in with my fingers. I must caution you on this not to oversaturate the rolls. It can cause the glaze to pool between the rolls, causing them to be underdone. When you're ready, place the rolls in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. When they're done, you'll see a nice golden crust along the top of the rolls that will be hard when you tap on them. After 20 minutes, they look like this. Soft. They've got a little crust. These are almost done, but they need to go just a little bit longer. Back into the oven for 5 more minutes before we remove and transfer to a cooling rack. Okay, I put them back in the container so I could move them so we could eat dinner. But these have cooled down significantly, so now it's time to make the icing. This simple sugar icing is made out of 1/4 cup powdered sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of your non-dairy milk, and a splash of vanilla extract. I went a little heavy, but there's no such thing as too much vanilla. Stir it all together, and then you can choose to pipe it over the top of your hot cross buns. Or, if you're not so concerned about how pretty they look, you can do what I did and save the plastic bag and just drizzle it over the top. Lore says that the first hot cross bun was originally marked by a Celtic monk. And it also means that the first hot cross buns were marked with Celtic crosses. Unlike the hot cross buns we have today, I chose to decorate mine with the traditional sun and cross, which pays homage both to pagan and Christian beliefs.